Hello, welcome to this channel of the beardedeurofan fan, that's me. For today's episode I'm going to review the Spanish entry for Eurovision 2022, which has been represented by singer Chanel with the song SloMo, which is an English acronym for slow motion. Spain is having difficult times to get out of the trench, having an impression that no matter if they use a national final or an internal selection, they will place in the last positions of the final ranking every time, even being a member of the Big Five. The last flop happened with Blas Cantó, with a heartfelt ballad he has delivered in last year's contest, but only receiving for himself a few set of points from the juries and placing third to last in the final ranking. Despite this, Spain moves forward with its participation, stating that they will make important changes to prove they take the contest very seriously. Having said this, let's take a look at the artists who had the task to represent the Iberian nation on touring. Chanel Terrero, mostly well known by her name, is a Cuban-Spanish singer, actress and dancer. Born in Havana, Cuba, she moved with her family to Spain at the age of 3, living since then in the town of Olesa de Montserrat. She got singing, performing and dancing lessons since she was a girl, and at the age of 16 she starts to give her first steps in the world of musical theater. She moves to Madrid in the decade of 2010 to start her career as an actress. She participates in the cast of many musicals where she starts to get recognition, with Mamma Mia, Flashdance, The Bodyguard and The Lion King, the most outstanding ones in her career. She also has had some roles in cinema and television, remarking among them her participation as part of the dance crew of the show Your Face Sounds Familiar in the first 4 seasons, performing a main role in the movie The King of Havana, directed by Agustí Villarronga, or her appearances in television series like Águila Roja, El Secreto de Puente Viejo or El Continental. Coming from the world of musical theater, it's normal to wonder how is that she become to be the Spanish representative at Eurovision, being mostly unknown in the Spanish musical scene. Now I start commenting about not only the start of her Eurovision journey, but the start of her musical career too. After the several failures of the Spanish entries and the contest in recent years, with Eurodramas included, the Spanish public broadcaster will make important changes, renewing all the staff of the Spanish delegation with people with more knowledge and interest in the contest, and scheduling a press conference to make an important announcement in the city of Benidorm. Rumors quickly arose about the plans of the broadcaster of rescuing back the Benidorm International Song Festival, a former annual song contest based on the Italian Sanremo Music Festival, although that format was never used to select representatives to compete at Eurovision. Then later, in late July of last year, the Spanish public broadcaster announced the organization of a new national final in the form of a revamped version of the aforementioned song contest, named Benidorm Fest. This new format, intended to be lasted during the time, will take reference of many national finals held in other European countries that are already successful, like Norway's Melody Grand Prix, Estonia's Estilo, Italy's Sanremo Music Festival, or Sweden's Melody Festival. For this very first edition, it will feature 14 contestants that will compete in 2 semi-finals, selecting 4 qualifiers in each semi-final, with the combination of the votes of the national jury, the international jury, the demoscopic jury, and the public. And 8 finalists will compete in the final show for the Bronze Microphone Award using the same voting method. On September of last year, a submission period was open for Spanish singers and songwriters to send their proposals, which will last until early November of last year. And at the same time, the broadcaster will directly invite many renowned artists to send potential entries as well. After the deadline, it was known they have received 692 proposals from the open submission and 194 proposals sent by renowned artists. for a total of 886 potential entries. An expert panel was in charge of selecting the 14 candidates to compete in the national final, making the announcement of the selected artists of early December of last year, while the songs were released a few days later. Chanel was among them, as the selected performer for the entries sent by the renowned Spanish songwriter Leroy Sanchez. Initially, Chanel was an underdog in the competition, compared to many of the other contestants that really had a well-established musical career in the Spanish musical scene. Chanel makes her first appearance in the first semi-final, and she eventually wins it thanks to the national jury, the international jury, and the demoscopic jury, giving the surprise in the competition. By the final show broadcasted in late last January, after the counting of the votes, it was seen that Chanel was the absolute favorite from the national jury and the international jury, while she was the second most voted artist from the demoscopic jury and the third most voted artist from the public, thus gaining the victory in the national final by a narrow margin and the right to represent Spain on the main stage of touring. However, the final result was a matter of controversy, starring one of the Euro dramas of the season. After the publishing of the detailed results, there were accusations of cornism towards the juries, as one of the jury members previously worked with Chanel in the past as a choreographer, thus giving the argument that the juries would have been biased. It was also remarked the wide margin of the percentages of the votes received by the televote among the first three finalists, with the audience showing dissatisfaction with the voting format, arousing accusations of tricking in the national final. Without this controversy, the Spanish public broadcaster made a statement acknowledging all the criticizing received by the audience, making a compromise to establish a constructive dialogue in order to improve things in following editions of the national final, but maintained it will remain the election of Chanel as the Spanish representative at the contest. At the same time, Rigoberta Bandini and Tan Xugueiras, the runner-up and third finalists respectively, expressed their support to Chanel, calling the audience to accept the final results, after the initial bullying and display of hate towards Chanel through her social media, with her shutting them down for some time. Despite the bittersweet result in the new national final, Chanel's performance was starting to amaze and impress in other European countries, becoming in a very short time one of the main favorites to win the contest on Italian soil. Sometime later, after the national final, she would release her first official music video as an artist, with the official premiere made in mid-March. Lights, camera and water. It's the best description I can say after watching her proposal. Now here comes the analysis according to what she has presented in her official music video. In this case, the melody is a Latin pop track with elements of reggaeton. As I have commented before, Leroy Sanchez, one of the song's composers, was the one who sent the entry, and both him and Kyle Hanagami, renowned American choreographer who have worked with many musical superstars like Britney Spears, Justin Bieber, Blackpink or Jennifer Lopez, picked Chanel as the performer of the song, having reviewed her experience in musical theater and her singing and dancing skills on stage. The song's lyrics, far from getting my attention, it gives me repulsion, and it's because of the contents behind the reading as a whole, which is transmitting to me an undercover male chauvinism, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that have come to this conclusion when it comes to the lyrics. This in fact has been a subject of discussion even in the Spanish parliament, but thus as there are many interpretations about the meaning of the lyrics, the Spanish public broadcaster has always stated that the lyrics will not be changed. It was also rumored that the song was originally written for Jennifer Lopez, with the intention to include it in her next studio album, but later Leroy cited that these rumors were not true. It's affirmed that the message of the song is about female empowerment, focusing in that point of view that a woman should feel comfortable with her body, and not to be ashamed of her sexuality, not caring about what others could say, but once again taking into into account the previous comments about the lyrics. I'm not really sure that this is the real message. I just see it as a playful and festive song, in which it does not necessarily have a specific message to transmit. Analyzing the official music video, it has an aesthetic quite similar to those music videos of late 90s, like the ones of some Latin American artists like Jennifer Lopez or Shakira will do at the beginning of their musical careers. With the first verse, there are contrasts of lights and shadows, where Chanel is seen performing the song and doing the choreography with the dancers with the light wall behind them. Before the chorus, the spotlights change to the front, with alternate shots of them doing the dance routine, and close-ups of her as well. And then in the chorus, they do the dance moves in slow motion, making allusion to the song's title in fact. Towards the second chorus, the set changes and both her and her dancers are in a sort of alley in which there is rain, while they are still dancing the choreography. In the final chorus, it goes back again to the light wall set seen at the beginning of the music video, performing the last moves of the choreography, while confetti are falling from above until the end of the performance. Making a summary of all the comments, the Spanish entry for this year gives me mixed feelings. First, because it was the first time that Spain was organizing a national final, with the expected standards like in other European national finals, although it was a matter of time to see if they knew that Spain would have a good result, as there was the precedent of several attempts of national finals which ended in failure. And second, because I never liked the song since the very beginning, also linked with the fact that her victory in the national final was totally unexpected for many, and at the same time the reception she was receiving outside of Spain was truly overwhelming. So it's a mixture of many thoughts. Regarding the staging in the Spanish national final, the performance was based on Chanel performing the song and dancing the choreography with her dancers, the same ones who had been in the official music video. The dancers were wearing sexy black outfits, suitable to perform the dance routine, while Chanel was wearing a bodysuit with rhinestones encrusted and a matador jacket encrusted with many patterns. The visual graphics recreates the aesthetic of 1920s staging, with the name of Chanel in big letters on the upper side. It's remarkable to say that it's not easy to sing and dance a very complex choreography, but she does it in a quite natural way that is really astonishing even if you don't like the song. It's undeniable that her previous experience in the world of musical theater had helped her a lot. For this version she has performed, after the second chorus there was an instrumental interlude in which she took off the jacket to perform an energetic and intense dance routine with her dancers. This part of the performance was that absolute moment when they amazed a lot of people, assuring with it the victory on the new national final. In addition, I had the opportunity of watching her live performing her song at the Barcelona Eurovision party, despite not being initially featured to perform in the show, but she unexpectedly made her appearance by surprise, and it could have enough been in another way being the host of the party. Here is an exclusive snippet of her performance. As expected, the performance was exactly the same she had been doing since the national final. Same visual graphics, same outfits, same choreography, all the same. So there was not a surprising element at this time. The spotlights in this case had overshadowed the performance, as sometimes you were not able to see them while they were doing the choreography. Despite this, it was one of the most acclaimed and cheered performances of the night, and she was amazed with all the support and affection she was receiving. For the staging in Turin, it was expected there would not be too many changes, taking into account that it was truly polished already. During the rehearsals, it could be seen that Chanel's outfit will be much more inspired in a matador traditional outfit, with a lot of decorations and rhinestones, and the outfits of the dancers will take some of that design in their suits. Unlike her performance in the national final, the visual graphics were completely discarded, focusing much more in the spotlights with yellow and red tones, very energetic during the dance routine in the interlude, and more pyrotechnics. Until this point, everything was as expected from her live performance in the grand final, but just after, there was the surprising turning point. After the interlude, a pyrotechnic wall appeared from the stadium roof, while she was refreshing a little with a fan that appeared most magically. There was a vocal extravaganza just before the final chorus, where then they performed a dance routine never seen in any of her previous performances, and she definitely have astonished the audience, finishing a flawless performance. However, the final word has not been said yet. It was a matter of time to see how the audience and the juries will react during the voting process. During the counting of the votes from the juries, it was witnessing an outburst of 12 points as never seen before for the Spanish entry, placing the third place at the beginning. That was definitely surreal, but the votes from the public were coming next, and for the first time in a very long time, the chances of winning for Spain were extremely high. Then later, after revealing the other half of the votes, she has received another outburst of points from the European audience, which ended to rank in that same third place. What can I say from this final result? Many things. First to remark, Chanel broke the record for the most absolute points received in a final for a Spanish artist. Second, Spain came back to the first positions of the final ranking after being synced during many consecutive editions, proving that if you bring a very well done entry, the results speak by themselves. And third, the impact of the Spanish entry since the national final was that big that a lot of people in Spain took back the excitement with Eurovision as it never happened in many years. In the end, the initial premise of taking the contest very seriously was more than fulfilled. After her Eurovision journey, Chanel has been reaping success and followers everywhere she goes. It's also known she has been traveling often to the United States, where she has been working in new songs for what is expected to be her debut studio album as a singer. She has been so busy ultimately during these months after the contest that she had to drop her leading role in the musical play Malinche, which is scheduled to be premiered this September. Could it be possible that Chanel will leave behind her career in musical theater to fully focus in her recently started musical career? As things are happening, it could eventually happen, but it will be a matter of time until we could be really sure of that. And you, what do you think about the Spanish entry for this year? Come on, leave your comments down below because I'm sure this discussion is going to be a really hot topic. And this is it for today's episode. Take a moment to like this video, subscribe to my channel and enable notifications. Don't forget as well to follow me in my social media. Take care and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.